Happy Friday writing workshop. I'm sorry if this video is getting kicked out to you just a little bit late. I actually changed my mind on just the couple of notes that I wanted you to take over this long weekend as we prepare for next week. Initially, I was thinking essay structure, introduction, body, conclusion, but I think I'd rather talk about pre-writing as we look forward to what we're going to be working on next week in our college application essays. I hope your Making All Things New discussion is going well. I'm still leaving the deadline for the end of tonight. That is Friday, September 3rd at midnight. You guys should know I am going to be working through the grading for this thing rather slowly, little bit by bit. So if you're a little bit past Friday, that's not a problem. But I would like to get moving on grading on these things this Sunday and Monday as we prepare for next week. For Prewriting Gallery, that's the video that we're watching right now. Just want to take a look at our directions here. It says, please watch this video for an overview of various pre-writing strategies. Once again, the big focus with our college application essay is going to be pre-writing. I want you to see how effective a good plan is at working through the writing process efficiently. I think that you'll find writing your college application essay is a lot less stressful when you have a good plan. I do recommend taking notes as you watch. We will begin pre-writing for the college application essay next week. I figured that works well for the short week. Our PowerPoint that I'll be referring to can be found right here. I still have to add in the video, obviously, but I'll be leading through this on PowerPoint itself. And here we go. So I call this little presentation the Prewriting Gallery. You'll notice there's the whole writing process right here, just starting with the first step of it, pre-writing. I call this a gallery, kind of like an art gallery, because you'll see a whole variety of strategies that work for pre-writing. One thing I love about this is that I've already seen a number of our writing workshop students use these strategies as we worked on our All Things New discussions. I'll be making some shout outs along the way as I see some of those strategies. Let's talk first, why pre-write? Why can't I just get started with drafting for whatever assignment I've been given? First of all, pre-writing is what we do to determine which ideas get placed in an essay and what ideas get scrapped. Generally, when we are thinking about an idea, we see a writing prompt and we're thinking of how to tackle it, we're going to come up with ideas that work well. We're going to come up with ideas that probably won't work well. And we have to be able to weed out the ones that don't work so well for writing. It's especially useful for working with larger assignments that you want to break into multiple parts. A multiple page essay would be a good example of that, right? Where we know we have to get to a certain length, so we need to put our ideas in order. Three big uses. One is refining a large general topic into a more specific topic. So let's say you have a science paper to write, and your teacher just says, hey, write me a paper about trees. Thanks, teach. Where do I go from there, right? There's so many different directions to go from trees. Maybe in your pre-writing process, you're able to refine that down. Okay, I've been told to write about trees. Maybe I'll just think about North American trees. You look up North American trees on Google, you still find 400,000 results. So you refine it down again. Let's just talk about trees in the state of Wisconsin. That might give you a start on finding a more specific topic. Another key use is determining your purpose, audience, and thesis. So your science teacher said, write me a paper about trees. And you're thinking, there's a lot of different angles to go with trees. Even just trees of Wisconsin, what direction do I want to go? Maybe one thing you find that's interesting in your research is that compared to other U.S. states, Wisconsin has an unusual diversity in its tree species. There's a big variety of trees in Wisconsin. Maybe you find that interesting, and that's going to give you your purpose for your paper. You want your audience to understand just how interesting this topic is. Another key use from there, and the one that we'll be using the most in this class, is shaping essay structure by creating subtopics or specific arguments. This is how you break your idea into body paragraphs especially. Notice the thesis statement that this creates. Compared to other U.S. states, Wisconsin has an unusual diversity in its tree species because, there's a reason, it has a unique weather pattern and excellent soil throughout the state. What I might note right here is that these two reasons, unique weather pattern, excellent soil, those might make for two nice long body paragraphs, and all of a sudden we have a 4-paragraph essay. Introduction, body paragraph about weather, body paragraph about soil, conclusion paragraph. Let's move through the gallery right here. So talking about just some different strategies for pre-writing. The one that you're probably most familiar with is outlining. And we've already done these. We've done some brainstorming. I think of the times that we do some sharing on journal entries is kind of like brainstorming. Outlining is one that we will do actually in this coming week, but I know you've done this in earlier years as well, where it's usually a different Roman numeral per body paragraph, and then you can divide up your ideas into topic sentences, subtopics, evidence, for instance, commentary sentences, and on to the next paragraph. We'll get a lot of practice with outlining on our college application essays. Mind mapping is a wonderful one, especially if you're trying to refine a big topic down. So let's say you have Miss Balistreri for health, and she asked you to write a paper about soft drinks. Maybe specifically you have to write about just the effect they have on the human body. Even that is a big topic. We got to refine that down. Manufacturing, how are they made? That breaks into ingredients. How they're bottled or canned, different formulas, their chemical compounds, artificial sweeteners, sugar, caffeine. Maybe we talk about the health side effects, nervousness, anxiety, obesity, diabetes. You can talk about how they're marketed. They're intentionally marketed towards children. Is that a good thing or not? Notice that we started with soft drinks, but then by kind of defining those different categories, it helps us to refine our topics to what we actually want to write about. Free writing and looping. Now this is one that I saw a lot of people do for their all things new discussion in Schoology. I've had a number of people say, Mr. Hantak, I like drafting things out on paper first and then moving them into a digital format, like a paragraph or an outline. That's brilliant. What free writing allows you to do is get all your ideas down on paper. It allows you to see what's good, see what's worth keeping, and see what's worth scrapping. Looping is a type of free writing. Looping is where you set a timer. Usually people use 5 or 7 minutes. You free write on one topic. Then once your timer goes off, 5 or 7 minutes usually, you take your last sentence or your favorite idea from that first free write, and then you do it again. Free write based on the new topic. 5 or 7 minutes pass, loop it again. 5 or 7 minutes on the next topic. What you might find is that after a couple of rounds, a couple of loops, you may have started with one topic that was interesting for you, but you ended up with one that's much, much, much more interesting or much more applicable after you've done a few loops. It's kind of the idea of free writing. Again, it's get everything down on paper, no matter how big or small you think that idea is, see what sticks. There are some other strategies that are maybe a little more out of the box. Maybe it depends on your own gifts or talents. I have actually seen a couple of students this year using these strategies. Some of you who are more artistic may want to do some imaging. No one says that pre-writing has to be writing all the time. For some of you, perhaps drawing your topic will help you refine your ideas. Thinking of trees here for a moment, right? Let's say I write trees as my topic at the roots, but then as I build my way up, I start to find some of those bigger subtopics, right? So I draw a tree, this Christmas tree looking thing right here. Maybe my first topic is trees of Wisconsin. It refines down. Maybe we talk about evergreen forest, right? Maybe from there we find out that there are lodgepole pines, right? And then from there I found my topic, right? I really want to write about lodgepole pine forest in Wisconsin. Just an example. Talking. Now here's where I got to make a shout out to DeMonte in my 8th hour class. This was an interesting strategy, perhaps against the rules in my classroom, but it actually worked for him, so I allowed it. No one says that pre-writing has to be writing, once again. For some people, actually talking through your topic will help you refine your ideas. I know I'm this way. If I want to get writing on something, I almost automatically want to talk to someone about it just to see how well my ideas are fleshed out. DeMonte did that in 8th hour, just kind of went around the room, talked to a couple of his friends to see what they were doing. It's not that he's stealing their ideas, but he was seeing if there's some inspiration for how he should tackle his all things new discussion. That's an idea, right? Once again, Google Images. This week we're talking about trees. Maybe that's what you do, right? You're talking with your friends. Man, Mr. So-and-so gave us the worst writing prompt ever, right? He just said write about trees. As you're talking to your best friend, though, she says, you know what? I'm deciding that I'm just going to write about lodgepole pines. Another friend says, you know what? I really want to write about tropical trees, like palm trees. And over the course of that conversation, you realize you really want to write about deciduous trees, things like oaks and maples in your own paper. Just an example. The last thing I want to talk about as it pertains to pre-writing is research. We'll do this a lot more once we get to our persuasive research paper, but you should note that the research process is also a form of pre-writing. Collecting research is the first thing that we do. That's where these questions come into play, where you're actually asking research questions about your topic. If your topic is trees, how are trees formed? What types of trees exist in Wisconsin? Why do trees exist? Who's in charge of naming tree species? Where is there the most variety of trees in the United States? When do trees fully come into maturity? These are just examples of research questions that could be asked. And in the process of actually researching those questions and finding sources, that might help you refine your topic and figure out where you want to go with your paper, whatever it might be about. We'll talk more about research once we get to that persuasive research paper. We've got 2 weeks actually that we'll spend specifically researching and pre-writing there before we even touch drafting on that particular essay. I hope this has been informative for you. I hope you've taken just some notes on what pre-writing is and maybe some strategies that you plan to use. We'll be using some of these strategies as we pre-write for college application essays next week. Later.